Alright, this is a bar humbug Christmas unboxing video. This is a Marvel Epic Collection. Let's just get this Christmas stocking opened up and see what Santa has brung us. Hark the Herald, Angels Sing. It is Silver Surfman, and it contains a story relevant to my Christmas history. By the way, let's just ignore the 5 epic collections I unboxed, trying to specifically land on this one. You will never get a second-hand look at any of these surely brilliant collected editions. One of them is a Hulk one though. Right, this is Silver Surfman. It has the last batch of issues of Steve Englehart run, and it has the first story arc by Jim Starman, the rebirth of Thanos, which after 32 years they have decided to change the name of the story to The Return of Thanos, to try and gaslight 2 people who might not realise that it is the exact same story they already have. This is the back of the collection. I will be explaining my attachment to the Thanos story when I get to it. It's probably best not to mention my unsuccessful suicide attempts this early in the video. But yeah, maybe if you don't want to hear me talk about some of my struggles, this video isn't a great Christmas present. First issue is Silver Surfman 24. I haven't actually read these ones. The last third of Steve Englehart's run, I've not read them. They might be good, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. He credits himself as his SFX Englehart pseudonym, which he thinks is a brilliant roast of Marvel's priorities. He's not having a clever dig at Marvel. You have to be privy to his thought processes to even understand what his criticism is. I mean, if Bart Simpsons from The Simpsons rang up Mole's bar and said that he was looking for a person called SFX Englehart, Mole wouldn't be embarrassing himself when he asks if anyone there is called SFX Englehart, and Barney wouldn't laugh at the notion that Marvel favour pointless spectacle instead of the brilliant writings and ideas of Steve Englehart. It should be acknowledged that the brilliant writings and ideas of Steve Englehart are such original prospects as the Kree-Skrull War 2 and Clumsy Foul-Up, this character who is meant to be Editor-in-Chief Tom Falcon. He was probably also working towards more female characters being raped for melodrama. Ron Lee, that is Stanley Lee's little brother, he does the art, that is the saving grace. Santa shows up, very Christmas themed collection this one. Then the Tribunal. I know about this one because Steve Englehart tries his hardest to ruin 2 enigmatic characters whom only have appeal because they are mysterious. I actually think that is an incorrect usage of Santa is apparently the 4th face of Tribunal. Fucking dire. It had been 20 years and nobody revealed Santa's origin, because that was the unique thing about him. Where he comes from, why he does anything that he does. It has remained mostly a mystery, outside of this egotist trying to explain stuff badly. I suppose I don't outright hate this sequence, told across several splash pages, with Silver Surfman becoming one with the universe. And there's barely any writing on these pages, so that helps as well. A nice little demonstration for Ron Lee. We have a couple of fill-in issues by Michael Valentine, the writer/artist of the 90s Galactical Guardians, and later Orc Shad at iMage Comics. This issue here has art by Ron French. I have not read this one, but I have read the next one. Silver Surfman issue 33. This is also Silver Surfman's Acts of Vegans tie-in, although it's jokingly cited as Acts of Idiocy. The idea of Acts of Vegans, we all know, it was to have heroes fight someone they don't traditionally fight. Unposable Man. Not entirely out of Silver Surfman's wheelhouse, but he hadn't gone up against them before. It's quite a sensible matchup even. Here are the issue's credits. I agreed upon a rule to not cause more Michael Rockford situations. Someone being bad at their job, or rather me thinking that they are bad at their job, isn't enough to dogpile on them. This editor has his name on some spectacular comics, but he also has his name on fantastic things with awful continuity. 2 examples of that coming up. One tied straight to this issue. Silver Surfman has a light-hearted fight with this comic sidekick character. Fine for what it is, a one-off little issue. Issue 34, this is when Jim Starman takes over writing, and these next 5 issues are meaningful to me. I have talked about the actual trade paperback of this story before, but I was half holding back because I didn't want to make people too uncomfortable, which is very unlike me. Before I lower the mood, these first 2 pages are, in my opinion, the best opening salvo to a story or a run ever. They show an immediately compelling aspect of Silver Surfman, and they are flawlessly presented. He doesn't know why he chose to come to this desolate and forbidding planet. The astral skyrider is too tired to care. Perhaps here he will find a retreat from the chaos that has consumed his existence of late. So many problems, so many battles. It has been so trying. Maybe even cosmic heroes need a little time for rest. Even demigods must dream. And then we jump over to this page. It is a lifeless world without a name, but the weary traveller finds its bleak dunes and barren expanses refreshingly tranquil. Here is a hideaway where a man can sort out the tangled meanings of life, and with a little luck get some much needed rest. His exhaustion is so total that it does not occur to him that it has been years since he last slept. Wonderful stuff. Most this issue is a dream sequence though, so let's talk about the nadir of my mental elf. Christmas 2013, I tried to kill myself. This was my second serious suicide attempt. I tried to hang myself, and then my wacky comedy dad walked in and exhibited bizarre reactions to seeing his son strung up off a balcony, and that felt like the lowest point of my life. Me dad being annoyed at me, not because I wanted to die, not because I was trying to kill myself, not because I wasn't happy. He was more perturbed that I had ruined his day than upset that his son was clearly struggling. I suffer from manic depression, quite severe in the past, but I am controlling it fairly well these days, I feel. Since about the age of 8, I have always ideated suicide. Obviously to varying degrees of sincerity. Suicide, or the thought of giving up on life, has been a compulsion and a standard reaction for me. If something bad happens, the idea of suicide is one of the first things I go to. It's like it is ingrained into me, the idea that I can kill myself at any point to get off this shitty ride. My first proper suicide attempt was in 2010, May 24th, 2010. This followed an ex-girlfriend sending me a 7-paragraph email explaining why I should kill myself and how it would improve her and everybody else's life. She even ended it with a link to buy some rope on Amazon. But the joke was on her. I'd been with her for so long, I already had a rope. I should also explain that I have one of the worst coping strategies around. I find it funny. I laugh about my horrible life, and the problem is that it makes me talking about anything that has happened to me seem inauthentic or like I am taking the piss. I find it funny that it happened to me. It's not funny if it happened to anyone else. It's the fact that I consistently suffer that makes me laugh. I cannot say stuff that has happened to me with a straight face. It seems like I am completely insensitive and taking the piss. I laugh about me being a victim. I don't laugh about you or anyone you know being a victim. It's only funny when it happens to me. I've even tried talking about myself in the third person, or saying stuff and pretending I am called Brett. And in those cases I don't laugh about it. I'm cutting out all that stuff about how my first attempt failed and all subsequent attempts failed. Because surviving that many suicide attempts, it sounds like, well, the perception is that I must be doing it for attention. When in actual fact, after the first time you have committed to suicide. The truth is you put less thought into it afterwards. It's no longer a last resort. It's not this hallowed thing. Suicide becomes a compulsive response to hardship or difficulty. You've completely lost the sense of holding back. You've been at the point where you seriously thought this is it, you're ready to die. To survive that, you completely lose that intrinsic notion of self-preservation. Trying to commit suicide becomes easier and easier, and it's because of that why my subsequent attempts were also failures, despite coming pretty close twice. So why on earth does this all link to this Silver Surf Man story? Christmas 2014, the year after I had tried to kill myself on Christmas Day, I again was liable to try once more. I should say that 2013 and 2014, they honestly were my mental low points. On top of my manic depression, I was very unfulfilled with life. I was struggling with money too. I wasn't sleeping at all. I was hearing voices telling us how awful I was. I was having hallucinations that were unsettling me. I was unmedicated and not receiving appropriate treatment for my mental health. My GP, my doctor, didn't really care. He would just nod his head and prescribe the standard sertraline. By the time that I was finally referred to a proper mental health clinic, they were annoyed that I hadn't been sent there much sooner, because it had been allowed to get worse and worse when they could have prevented that. So, Christmas 2014, the trade I had of Silver Surf Man Rebirth of Thanius, which I had bought for myself as a Christmas present, it meant a lot to me. I was likely going to attempt to kill myself, but I thought, I'll try reading this, and it was good enough that it kept me interested for an hour, and it managed to stave off suicidal urges. I am forever thankful for that. It gave me, for an hour, or however long it took to read it, a brief respite from everything. I don't like this video now. I feel naked. I remember when I was actually active on Facebook and not a total recluse. Every year people I knew would post about Mental Health Awareness Day or whatever, and they would all explain how they are fucked in the head. And I felt bitter and jealous because I had, a deep-rooted fear of ever letting on to people how severe my problems have gotten. But yeah, I've never wanted to share. I don't think people would be interested. I don't like people thinking even less of me. And a fucking huge one is I do not want pity or charity. Legitimately. If you give me pity, if you comment down below saying, you really feel for me, it doesn't matter how serious you are, it makes me feel rotten. I don't like feeling that way. Receiving sympathy or pity, it makes me feel worse. I think that is derived from my experiences of being bullied. At school, I was singled out by students and teachers alike because I was what was back then just called special needs. I am autistic, which is about the most obvious thing ever. I struggled badly with social skills as a teenager, and the other problem was I was also an incredibly overweight child. After leaving school, I lost the weight and spent a few years trying to hide away my problems. Actually, after my first suicide attempt, that was when I stopped doing that. I acknowledged them and tried my best to deal with them head on. My eye contact is tremendous. I used to have really, really bad eye contact. I would just look at the floor or anywhere else. But for the past 10 to 15 years, several people have commented on how my eye contact is fantastic. It took a lot of work to get that down. I am aware, I've always been aware, and I think that is why I have been able to approach or come back from all sorts of things. The awareness is probably also why I developed laughing as a coping method. The awareness that it all sounds ridiculous and far-fetched, that all these things happened to one person. My point being, I am genuinely rambling on tangents here. Opening up is not my inclination. My inclination is to try and hide or obscure or minimise my mental health problems because I feel letting people know the exact number of attempted suicides or my history of self-harm, it opens me up for the judgment of others. Let's get back to the comic briefly. I love this splash page of Dax the Destructoid resurrected, and this is issue 36. And the big premise here is that Silver Surfman, he fights the most unexpected foe of all time, Unposable Man. This is issue 36. It is 3 issues after the Acts of Vegans one. It is presented as if this is a crazy new concept. Editor is the same. And we have another problem by the editor on these pages. Silver Surfman arrives at the Avengers' house, and She-Hulk attacks him thinking that he is an enemy. It turns out she doesn't know who Silver Surfman is, and she looks like a damn fool for rushing in and fighting him. Except She-Hulk obviously does know who Silver Surfman is. She has met him several times. She was even on the cover to the first issue of this very series. This makes She-Hulk look so unbelievably stupid. It is bad continuity like this that does some of the most damage to this fantastic universe. I'll tell you what, if I had embarrassed myself as much as She-Hulk did here, I probably would again try to kill myself. I need to end this with some positivity though. Not this scene with Jim Starman dismissing Karen Gillan's entire character, but I haven't tried to kill myself since 2020. Even that suicide attempt, that came after 3 years of no suicide or self-harm. Isolating myself from the outside world the way I did, it caused problems, but it has significantly reduced my anxiety. I'm not having to struggle or stress out about what a bunch of shitty comedians really think of me. This year, it has been a different kind of terrible for me, and I have had anxiety attacks and I've come close to full mental breakdowns. But suicide hasn't been on my mind too much. I like to think that I am over suicide now. It might be naive, but I think I want to see how long I can actually hold on for, as opposed to wanting it to end as fast as it can. I could have died from various health factors, and I think that maybe re-established some reverence for life. Suicide means dying on your own terms. That first time I tried, I felt resolved. I wanted that to be it. I was ready to go. Dying of a stroke or dying from organ failure, you're never going to be ready for that. You're not going to feel the same sense of closure or even relief. But at the end of the day, what true sense of closure does suicide offer? It's all mental gymnastics on your end. You accept how things are rather than truly resolving those things. Your realizations, your imagined closure, your acceptance, or your inner peace at the moment you kill yourself. It doesn't matter to anyone any more than what you are feeling at the time you have a fatal heart attack. At the end, all we really have is nothing. We all have nothing. What we did, what we have done, who we are, how we got there, it doesn't matter. I believe I will be at peace however and whenever it comes. And that is the only closure a living specimen truly needs. Sorry for ruining your Christmas dinner with this shit. No point even wrapping this up. I've barely looked at it, this collection. There's 5 issues in here I care for, deeply personal reasons. They are good issues. The best pull quote possible is, "These comics stopped me from killing myself," from Son of Nimrod. If you want this, then get it. I'll give it 7 thumbs up, but the rest is up to you.